Like I said in the introduction to Mass, we have two very important groups today in our church. First of all, our confirmation class for this year, that is in their second year, right? The second year of preparing for the sacrament. And we'll reflect a little bit on what does it mean to be an adult member of the faith. And we also have the 50th anniversary of our grammar school from 1972 that is here to celebrate. And that I was telling Tom, I know you guys have a lunch at Red Barrel afterwards at 12 o'clock, but an interesting thing would have been, and maybe we could organize it or think about it, the 50-year anniversary class. What advice would they give to our confirmande? After graduating from a Catholic grammar school, living 50 years outside of that and all the stuff that has happened in the world, what advice would they give to a group of people beginning or to further discern, to further develop, to further say yes to the presence of God in their life in an active manner? And today, as we celebrate World Mission Sunday, it calls us to we have to be not only individual and personal with our faith, but also there is a proclamation of our faith that we do out in the world. And when I was thinking about that, I wanted to just share one short story. As I've talked more than once, both Father Jack and I worked in Peru. Father Jack a lot longer time than I had, but actually Father Jack was my formation director in Peru, which now everything comes around because now I'm his pastor, you know. So everything kind of comes around after so many years. And I remember when I first got down to Peru, it was in August of 1982 as a deacon. I did not speak, I thought I spoke Spanish. I did not. I only had like 6 weeks in Cuernavaca. I did not. And so I flew up to where the diocese was, or Chulucanos, or the prelature at that time, and some people picked me up. Thankfully, one of the persons in the car spoke in English, my broken Spanish. We got along, but the one thing I remember is that from the airport in the city of Piura, getting to Chulucanos, which was the head of the prelature, it was in the evening, and the ride on the road was about 45 minutes through the desert, because this was located in the Sechura Desert, the seat of the diocese. And I'm looking out the window, and it was a beautiful moonlit evening. And if anybody has ever been out at night, you could tell how shadows and stuff form when there's no lights around, with the moon putting its light all over the place. And I'm looking out at the scenery, and I see the dunes, and I see some old houses that were, that were just made of sticks and all that. And the thought I was thinking when I was going there was, what am I doing here? Why did I say yes to leaving from the United States, having to learn another language, coming down to work in South America where my province had an order? What am I doing here? And that was a question I constantly asked myself. What am I doing here? Because if we think about being missionary, or we think about proclaiming our faith, the first thing we would all think about is probably more like that first reading, the Gospel Pharisee. I'm educated, I'm learning another language, I understand my faith, I practice my faith, I am going to give so much to these people. Well, it doesn't work like that. Yes, we bring who we are. Yes, I discovered who I am, and I discovered hidden talents and treasures that I had that I didn't, that were new to me as I stayed down there and learned the language and the people began to accept me. But by far more, what wasn't the gifts when my initial going there, it was not me saving them or teaching them about Christ. It became how we both discovered Christ in our midst. How it was through our sharing of our faith that talents were shared, struggles were shared, preoccupations were shared, joys were shared, people celebrated together, we suffered together. That was what missionary work is when we center then on the Lord. And then that second person, that tax collector, and we have to remember that during this time, that the tax collector was a person who probably robbed and wasn't very honest. What his prayer had and the attitude was a sense of humility, that he knew he may not have been doing everything everything the best that he could, but somewhere deep inside him, he knew he needed to change or do something different. And as I reflect on what the commitment, the confirmation class will make today, that is your invitation for this year, to study your faith, but more importantly, how to use it to live your lives day in and day out, to use it to make right judgments, because at the gospel he said that he was justified, that tax collector. In biblical terms, using the word, the verse uses righteousness. And in biblical terms, that means righteousness is we have a strong, steady, profound relationship with our God who loves us. Because that's what confirmation is about. Learning how to love the God in our lives and then putting that love into practice.